2 weeks later, all the people that got designated for 11 Charlie, we got shipped off to Delta Company 229 to the mortar square and learned how to be an 11 Charlie. This other dude named, I'm not gonna say his name, but he was the guy that taught us how to hang and fire the mortar rounds. I found out later, like not even a year later after I had gotten to my first unit, that that guy who had stressed to us to keep our fingers, you know, down, like to get out of the way of the mortar as it's coming back up out of the tube, he himself blew his hands off. That's crazy. I know, it's crazy, man. He really did. He blew his hands off. It was like in the stars and stripes and everything. It was horrible. Um, it was bad, man. How's the guy that teaches us and like emphasizes to us to keep our hands away from the opening, get his own hands blown off? That's crazy. But fast forward a little bit, we end up going into the final phase of our one station unit training. I put on muscle, size, confidence. I could run, I could push, pull, I could do anything, man. I was an absolute animal. The hardest thing that I did was what we called the bayonet. Bayonet was like the end of cycle FTX, right? It was the end of everything. It put it all together. So you road march out 12 miles. It's at a pretty significant pace. You're carrying a lot of weight. It's more than 30 pounds. We ruck march 12 miles out. We've already learned all these other things leading up to this point. Like, hey, when you're in combat or when you're patrolling and whatnot, like this is what you got to do. Like security is first. Set your perimeter, set your security, right? Like there's all these priorities of work. So for us, it was like digging fighting positions, right? So it's like we get in, our leadership instructs us on what to do. We gotta like get like 360 security, push out like listening posts and observation posts. All this stuff, right, is going on at the same time. And then we just operate out of that base for like the next 5 days. Drill sergeants, they just didn't let us sleep. I can't remember one time during that end of cycle FTX where I was actually like, you know what, I'm gonna go to sleep right now and it's gonna be great. We got sleep where we could get it. We got fed. Patrol, we're reacting to contact. We're doing squad and platoon level assaults. We're clearing trenches. We're doing trench warfare, bunker stuff, grenades, contact on contact, you know, mixing in a little combatives there, a little physical fitness to like, you know, wake everybody up. All these like things to keep us awake, moving, stressed, and freaking tired and hungry. And at the end of that 5 days, we leave and we did what, I don't know what they call it now, but they called it the battle march and shoot. The battle march and shoot was a 3-mile movement and you essentially ran it, right? It was a buddy run. You and your battle buddy, you had to get from point A to point B, which was a range. All right, so from the place you've been living for the last 5 days in the woods, you got to run and navigate yourself 3 miles away to this range where you're going to then do a qualification, armed qualification with your rifle. And really it's just to see how your body would react under like the maximum amount of stress, right? You walked 12 miles out to where you were going to patrol and live around for like the next 5 days and get with limited sleep, limited food. And then when you're at your dog tiredest and probably not malnourished, but like you're hungriest, like you get told now you're going to run 3 miles this direction to go hit like a rifle qual. We left there after everybody was done and started a 25-mile road march. All right. And that 25-mile road march, I don't remember if they told us it was going to be 25 miles. I don't know, but here's what I do know. For the next like day, right, we are walking non-frickin' stop. You want to talk about like attrition? I remember a couple of dudes that were already banged up. They like straight up like could not go any further. Now they may have gotten med rolled to like another class coming up behind us. I don't know. But I know we finished with fewer people after that whole bayonet experience than we did than we started with. It was brutal. What was really cool is that, like, as an infantryman, right, that like once you're done with that road march, it ends on what they call Honor Hill. So we're coming to the end of the 25-mile road march, and we have to come back in the same way we initially let out, which is through all the barracks. What was really mad cool is, like, it's the middle of the night, like, no joke. Middle of the night, and on both sides of the road, all right, it is lit up, and there are soldiers on all sides of this road leading all the way up and down, and they are cheering and clapping. And that's exactly what we needed right then and there. I mean, we had no idea how much further we had to go, how much longer this was going to go on. You're like, oh man, we are getting close probably to the end. And we were, we were like maybe half a mile out, and then we get led up onto this backside of these woods, and then there's like these fires and this big arch, right, over the opening of this field that says Honor Hill. And they have us like file into platoon formation, drop our rucksacks. And I remember my drill sergeant coming to me and putting the cross rifles into my hand, and him telling me, hey, congratulations, man. Like, you did what so few before you have ever chosen to do. You're part of the few, you're part of the elite. Follow me. And then he walked away, and he said the same thing to every single guy going down the line. But to me, it was personal, and it like just struck a chord in me, and it gave me like a sense of pride, right? That original pride that I thought I would have or be able to look back on when I was making that hard choice of, hey, do I join the army to give my wife and I like this better life, a life that we could be proud of? That was like the first moment. And this story really, well, maybe the second, but like the first really big moment where I was like, I'm really proud of this, right? Like, very few do get here. Very few make it. Very few want to do this, and people do quit along the way. They leave, and I almost quit. And had it not been for a drill sergeant that saw something in me, I may have not have had that opportunity to stand on Honor Hill and receive those beloved cross rifles. So that was a very big moment. And then after that, it's like kind of like all this admin stuff, right? You're done with all the boxes that you have to check off to become an infantryman. They've been checked off. Anyways, so that's kind of like the story of one station unit training at Fort Benning, Georgia. I learned a lot, and more importantly, I learned a lot about myself. Realized that there was nothing I couldn't do if I just put my mind to it. What I realized is, like, they really do a phenomenal job of building resilient leaders, and you're going to need that resilience later on, like when you're overseas and you're fighting a real enemy and everything is down and people are wounded or dead and you're tired and hungry and all these other things are happening around you continuously. Like, you need that resilience. You need to be able to reach deep down inside yourself and be like, I've got this. This is happening. And it's happening because I said so, because I have the training and the confidence behind me to do anything I set my mind to. So yeah, thanks for tuning in for this very long edition of One Station Unit Training. My experience at it. It was great. It was awesome. And yeah, drop any comments you got in the comment section below. Thanks for joining us. See y'all next time. Peace. I know, right?
Can't look like what you look like when you left.
I looked like a man. I looked like a bunch of potatoes running around. That was fun.